phone rang early in the morning while the man was drinking his coffee and getting ready for the day. Someone had found kittens living in an old empty building and they needed help right away. The person on the phone said the building had been empty for many months, and the kittens looked like they were trying very hard to stay alive on their own. The man finished his coffee quickly and started putting things in his rescue bag. He packed soft towels, carriers, treats, and emergency supplies he always kept ready for times like this. He knew these calls meant scared animals who needed gentle care and lots of patience. Over the years, he had learned that moving too fast in rescue situations usually made things worse for everyone. The animals would get more scared and the rescue would take much longer. So he made sure to pack extra treats and planned to spend as much time as needed to help these little ones feel safe and ready to trust him. When he got to the place, he could see why someone had called for help. The old building looked like it had been empty for a very long time. There were broken windows and tall grass growing everywhere around it. It was not a safe place for any animal to be living, especially small kittens who needed protection from bad weather and other things that might hurt them. He walked slowly around the building looking for signs of where the cats might be hiding during the day. Finally, he heard some small sounds coming from what used to be a storage room in the back part of the building. When he looked inside through the broken door, he saw exactly what he thought he would find, but it still made his heart feel sad. There in the corner of the old dusty room were some small kittens all pressed together looking very scared and worried about what would happen next to them. The kittens looked much too thin and weak for their size. It was clear they had not been getting enough food and were trying to survive completely on their own. They were sitting close together for warmth and comfort, and they looked ready to run and hide if anything scared them. The man could see they were probably very young and had been alone for some time without any adult cat to help them. The man sat down slowly on the dirty ground far enough away so the cats would not feel trapped by his presence. He had learned that animals needed to feel like they could run away if they wanted to, or they would become too scared to think clearly about the situation. He opened his bag very slowly and carefully took out some creamy treats that most cats found very hard to say no to. The good smell of food began to fill the old air, and he could see the kittens starting to get curious about what he was doing in their space. Their little noses were moving as they tried to figure out what the new smell was, and whether it might mean something good for them and their empty stomachs. The kittens were watching every single move the man made with great attention, but they were also clearly interested in the food he had brought. He could see them trying to decide whether this stranger might actually be someone who could help them or someone they needed to be afraid of. He placed some of the creamy treats on the ground between himself and the kittens and then moved back again to give them plenty of space to decide what they wanted to do. The kittens were small and much too skinny, but still brave enough to be curious about the new food that smelled so much better than anything they had found on their own. They had probably been eating whatever scraps they could find for weeks. One of the kittens took the first brave step forward toward the treats. It was clearly very hungry, and the wonderful smell of the food was too good to ignore any longer. The other kittens watched their brave sibling carefully to see what would happen when it got close to the strange man with the food. This was a big moment because it would help the others decide if they could trust this person. When nothing bad happened to the first kitten, the others also began to move forward slowly toward the treats. Once the kittens started eating, they began to make soft, happy sounds as they discovered how good real food could taste. They ate quickly like they had not had a proper meal in a very long time. The man watched them eat and felt happy to see how much they needed this help. This was the first very important step in building trust between them all. The man knew that sharing food was one of the most basic and powerful ways that animals learn to trust humans. When someone gives good food without asking for anything back, it sends a clear message that they might be safe to be around and might actually want to help. Food was the universal language that all hungry animals understood. While they were eating, the man spoke to them in a very soft and gentle voice that would not scare them. He told them they were safe now, and that he was there to help them find a much better place to live than this cold, empty building. He explained that he had a warm, comfortable house with plenty of good food and soft places to sleep where they would never have to worry about being hungry or cold again. His voice was calm and soothing. After they finished eating the first round of treats, the man waited very patiently for them to decide what they wanted to do next. He knew that rushing them would only make them afraid again and undo all the good progress they had made together. Some of the kittens started to come a little closer to him. They were still careful, but they were beginning to understand that he was there to help them. Then he slowly reached out and gently picked up each of the kittens one by one. Each one was much lighter than he expected, which reminded him how much they all needed good food to grow properly and become strong, healthy cats. Despite being alone and having to take care of themselves, these brave little survivors had somehow managed to look after each other. They had stayed together as a family, even in difficult times. Now they were all safe in his arms and ready to go to their new temporary home where they could rest and get better. The man felt the familiar warm feeling that always came with helping animals who really needed it. These precious lives were going to be so much better from this moment forward. He could already imagine how much happier and healthier they would be in just a few days. When they got to his house, he took them straight to a room he had already set up just for rescue animals like them. This room had everything the kitten family would need to feel safe and comfortable while they got better from their difficult time and got ready for their next step in life toward finding permanent homes. The room was warm and quiet and perfect for scared animals. First, he made sure they had fresh, clean water in several different bowls placed around the room so they could drink whenever they felt thirsty. Then he opened multiple cans of high-quality kitten food that had all the right nutrition for growing kittens who needed extra energy. The little family gathered around the food bowls and ate like they had not seen a proper meal in weeks or maybe even months. The man watched them eat with great happiness. The room had soft, warm blankets spread around in different areas so the cats could make comfortable beds wherever they wanted to rest during the day or night. There was also a clean litter box in the corner, which the kittens found and began to use, showing they were smart and could adapt to new things. Everything they needed was right there in one safe space. The man had spent careful time before the rescue, making sure to remove anything from the room that could be dangerous for curious kittens who like to explore and play. He took away small things they might try to eat, covered electrical cords they might chew on, and made sure there were no sharp corners or edges they could hurt themselves on. Safety was always the most important thing when caring for rescued animals. As the afternoon went on, the kittens began to explore their new space with growing confidence and energy. They found they could climb on the comfortable chair and jump from the soft blankets to the carpeted floor. They started playing games with each other, like hiding behind the furniture, and then jumping out to surprise their siblings, who would then chase them around the room with happy energy. It was wonderful to see them acting like normal, playful kittens. The kittens took turns cleaning each other, showing the strong bond they had developed while surviving together. They would carefully lick each other clean and then settle down for short naps between their active playtimes, always staying close together for comfort and warmth. This showed they truly cared about each other and had learned to depend on each other during their difficult time alone. The man sat in the room with them for many hours, just watching them get used to their new life and enjoying seeing their different personalities start to show. He could see that each kitten was different and special in its own way. One was very brave and wanted to explore everything in the room, including trying to check his shoes and pockets for more treats. Another one was more careful and thoughtful, preferring to watch what the others were doing before trying new things. There was also one that seemed to be the most playful and full of energy, always trying to get the others to chase and wrestle and play games together. Watching them develop these personalities made the man happy, because it meant they were feeling safe enough to be themselves instead of just trying to survive. They were becoming confident and trusting, which was exactly what he hoped to see. By evening, the whole kitten family seemed much more relaxed and comfortable in their new place. The kittens were running around playing with great energy and joy, and were cleaning themselves well, which showed they felt safe enough to focus on grooming instead of just watching for danger. When the man moved around the room, they no longer ran away from him or tried to hide under the furniture. Instead, they would look at him with curiosity, and some even came close to his feet hoping for more treats. The man knew this was just the beginning of their journey toward finding permanent loving homes where they could live safely and happily for the rest of their lives. He was already planning to take them to the vet very soon for complete health checks, important shots and treatments for any problems they might have developed during their time living on their own without proper care. Getting them healthy would be the first step. The kittens would also need to spend more time with different people, so they would be completely ready to live happily with their new families when the right time came for them to be adopted. But all of that could wait for now, because today had been about rescue and safety and helping them learn to trust again. There would be plenty of time for everything else they needed. For now, he was simply happy to see them safe and warm, and starting to trust humans again after their difficult experience. The change from scared, hungry animals to playful, confident cats had happened much faster than he had expected it would. This reminded him that animals were very strong and could get better from difficult situations when they were given proper care and patience and love. As night came, the kitten family settled down together on the softest, warmest blanket in the room. The kittens curled up close to each other in a furry pile, keeping each other warm and comfortable, just like they had been doing in the cold, empty building. But now they were surrounded by warmth and safety and the promise of good food tomorrow instead of danger and worry and hunger. The man turned off the lights and quietly left them to sleep peacefully, knowing they would wake up tomorrow morning in a warm, safe place with plenty of food and fresh water, instead of the cold, empty building where he had found them just that morning. It was truly amazing to think how much their lives had changed in just one single day, from scared and hungry to safe and loved. This rescue reminded him once again why he loved helping animals so much, and why he would continue doing this important work. Every scared face that learned to trust again, and every hungry animal that got proper food and care, made all the hard work and time spent completely worth it. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and probably more calls about other animals who needed help, but tonight these precious lives were saved and safe, and that was everything that really mattered to him.